بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. الحضور الكريم، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, very good morning. It's my pleasure to welcome you all here today to the 15th Annual Cards and Payments Middle East Conference and Exhibition. And it's indeed my privilege to address this eminent gathering today. Emirates Identity Authority is once again honored to be the official government partner for this event, and I'm sure that in the course of these 2 days we will see many innovations and creative developments in the cards and payments technologies. These will be 2 days of inspirations, 2 days of looking into the future of our industry and the opportunities it presents. Indisputably, as with other technological developments, the smart cards and payments industry is evolving so rapidly and in somewhat transforming ways. In short, it's a growth that has been phenomenal. A quick glance at some numbers tell us how the cards industry has emerged in the recent years. Let us go through some of these numbers. As per the latest statistics published in 2013, there are more than 1.8 billion active payment cards around the globe. Around $4 trillion is a total of what was spent at merchants in the year 2013. In the next 3 years, exponential growth is projected, with expectations of purchase transactions to reach 280 billion by the year 2018. With little conservative calculations, we are talking here about trillions of dollars worth of transactions. In the next 3 years as well, global e-commerce is also expected to grow from current 1.5 trillion to $2.5 trillion. Amazing numbers. However, we are still of the belief that we have not yet exploited the full potential of the digital age. The numbers we talked about represent as only as fractions of the potential. Just imagine a merely 16 million people, less than 1% of the global population, were accessing the internet in 1995. Today, we have nearly 3 billion people, about 40% of the global population accessing the internet. For sure, this has contributed to the exponential growth in the domain of commercial transactions, but this is also showing that we still have huge growth opportunities yet to be realized. The pace at which current markets are developing is owed to the evolution of the technology that has enabled electronic remote transactions with digital payments processing capabilities. The securities of chip and pin cryptography have helped to enhance payment technologies and promoted extending the landscape of participatory users. However, as we have all learned, no growth is devoid of risks and frauds. Some following numbers would give us a sense of the landscapes of how the payments have been manipulated in the recent years. As per the recent reports, global credit card and debit cards fraud losses exceeded $11 billion during 2012. Another report published recently revealed that retailers have incurred more than $580 million in debit card fraud losses, and that they spend $6.5 billion annually on credit card and debit card fraud prevention capabilities. The cost associated with such fraud prevention systems is only rising. Another interesting piece of information, it has been reported that card issuers' losses occur mainly at the point of sale from counterfeit cards, while merchants' losses occur mainly in situations where cards are not present in transactions, for example on the web, at call centers, or through mail orders. Another interesting piece of information is related to the fact that 59% of the more than 37 billion debit card transactions that were made were verified by physical signatures, and that 85% of fraudulent debit card transactions involved human signature verification. Let me put this differently. 85% of debit card fraud losses stemmed from signature-based transactions. Ladies and gentlemen, identity theft as a form of fraud that often results in an unauthorized credit card and debit card transactions has increased by almost 100% in the last few years. As such, fraud containment and risk mitigation will continue to dictate online and electronic payments, together with huge efforts and investments to protect the payment systems as a whole. Smart cards such as chip and pin chip and signature, use of biometrics and identity verification, digital signature, and associated cryptography for transaction authentication are becoming the order of the day. They are and will continue to transform the cards and payments industry and the way we as individuals will use them. Further, we see some fascinating developments. We are actually witnessing developments in real life, straight out from our science fiction movies, where a retina scan or a voice recognition system actually authenticates customers over remote channels. Quantum computer crunching numbers at unbelievable speeds to check the customer history and risk assessment. Advanced robotics identifying, picking up and delivering the goods from an automated superstore or payment transfers taking place in real time across the globe. These are no longer the realm of fantasy filmmakers, but a reality. Embedded chips in the people, an encoded live DNA in a human with an identity credentials. We are there, in fact, it is here. All such developments are pushing not just for the payments industry, but also the governments and businesses alike to reinvent themselves. Ladies and gentlemen, digital identity, government-based or provided through third-party identity services, are increasingly being adopted, followed closely coordinated efforts. In this context, where smart government and smart services initiatives of the UAE take prominence, Emirates Identity Authority, with our National Identity Program and the issuance of a state-of-the-art smart ID card as a tool for digital identity credentials, plays a key role in facilitating the smart services with the underlying secure digital identity for every single legal resident in the country. With 100% enrollment in the National Population Register, the UAE has a unique distinction of placing a verifiable digital identity credentials in the hands of every single citizen and legal resident in the country. The impacts and the implications of this fact are obvious. We are in the throes of an accelerated e-transformation in the country. The National Identity Management Infrastructure serves to provide a unique and a common digital identity across all service providers, be it a government or private sector. The ability to verify and validate this identity in real time not only enables cross-domain service provisioning, but also cross-domain service delivery. A major beneficiary in this scheme indeed would be the financial industry. Imagine the scenario where a customer seeks to conduct a financial transaction, like acquiring a high-value asset, such as a car or a house or such a property. This scenario involves not only just the buyer and the seller, but a financier, such as a bank, a regulator, and a credit risk assessor. The current situation demands customers to submit multiple documents for identification and statements of financial capabilities. Multiple agencies are involved in credit assessment and mortgaging. The process of acquisition could take days, if not weeks, in completion. The UAE National Identity Management Infrastructure seeks to bring this acquisition to real time, enabling instant gratification to the user and the buyer. An identity card issued by the Emirates Identity Authority, simply put, is presented to the property seller, which is verified and validated for authenticity by Emirates ID online systems. In turn, the ID validation is referred to a financial institution of the buyer choice. A credit assessment is made available in confidence to the financial institution, which can then decide and approve of the financial arrangements. A contract is entered by the three stakeholders, the buyer, the seller, and the financial institution, and the transaction will be digitally signed with the respective cards of the representatives. Acquisition is completed. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the true digital enablement of the country. Identity management infrastructure managed by Emirates Identity Authority will support this transformation in the country and the development of the new economy. Our recent efforts with leaders in the payment industry in the UAE have borne fruit, and the use of the ID card as a secure identity mechanism in the ATMs has become a reality. You will soon see the ID being used for not just for secure withdrawals, but also for conducting secure and authentic transactions at the point of sale. The ID card would typically act as a government-backed authentication mechanism, bringing in exponential enhancement to the security and prevention of identity-related frauds. Following the current national initiatives on smart government, Emirates Identity Authority is enhancing its national identity management infrastructure by mobilifying the digital identity. This entails the use of the UAE's identity management infrastructure for providing credentials in the mobile GSM cards to support mobile identification and authentication. You will soon see this in action with mobile phone users enabled to use the digital credentials with their mobiles and conducting transactions with digital signatures. The digital transformation will enable the nation to take a frog leap in business competitiveness by saving millions in terms of costs related to fraud and fraud containment. Ladies and gentlemen, surely the speed at which technological developments are advancing will not only add to the complexity of the interesting times we are witnessing in the digital age we are living in today, but will make us seem myopic in our views of how even the short-term future could look like. With such developments and speed, the expectation bar is rising to new levels. Regardless of the industry, be it a government or private sector, they will all have difficulties keeping up with the new expectations normal. We are strongly of the view that we need to work together to make this world a better place for everybody to live in. This requires that we share knowledge and work collaboratively. This event is one of such attempts aimed for such cooperation. I thank the organizers for this distinguished work and excellent work that they have actually tried to do. And I wish you all the best and a fruitful association in the coming days. Thank you very much for your kind patience.